Today, I'm going to tell you a story that's going to teach you how to get your very own pocket support. It was meant for Deathblade mains, but since they got the axe, it's Glavier's turn to steal your girl. But the Zerker gang's the ones who stole my heart in the comments and on Discord. So thank you guys for all the love. And I want to give a massive shout out to the patrons. You guys have no idea how much it means to me that you support me. So if you want the only Glavier guide you'll ever need, it's going to be linked in the description, along with the epic adventures of these amazing posts. And while you're down there, I'd appreciate the sub. Oh, and just remember, my name's Claysthetics, and we're running right into it. And don't forget to like the video. It's the only way YouTube knows I exist. And lighting this off, we have our origins that all started with a love story. Part 1. I-19M met the love of my life 24F on this game. I'm a Deathblade Surge main that recently met the love of my life in this game. She plays a bard and has been into my big numbers for a couple of weeks. I met her during a Guardian raid some weeks ago. Since then, I have carried her through much content, but she keeps nagging me about how she has to play with this war dancer, whatever that is. I was thinking this was her partner of some sort, constantly queuing with us, but being more useless than a DPS paladin with 5 points in Grudge and Curse Doll. I was getting sick of this, so I finally decided to show this guy who's the boss. I hit a fully stacked surge one after another. While this war dancer keeps depleting all of our lives, I end up doing 60% of the damage in Night Fox Yoho. The MVP screen was like something out of a movie. This bard main then starts whispering me more than usual, going crazy at those numbers. She was talking about how lame this war dancer was as a husband and how I was a much more attractive version of him on every level. This keeps going on during text, and apparently this war dancer husband had went through our convos. How am I supposed to show her that I am the only important male in her life? She doesn't need this war dancer husband when she has me. Part 2. As a bard main, supporting modern gamers is exhausting. Hey Reddit, I've been playing supports in MMOs for many years, but playing this underappreciated backseat role has become too much. DPS players are sad and pathetic, turning every fight into a dick measuring contest trying to inflate their fragile egos. Recently, my husband heard that Lost Ark was coming to the West, and he decided that it'd be our game. He's never played an MMO before, but he's desperate to try my favorite genre. Since we met, he has refused to play the weeb cat girl bull that I've been obsessed with, but he was excited about Lost Ark, so we decided to play it together. I wish I hadn't, because this may mean the end of our relationship. When I looked at the class lineup, I was obviously initially drawn to the aesthetic of bards. My husband was after the big dick DPS class, and for some reason I cannot fathom he picked War Dancer of all things. We recently got to endgame and he started running guard. We recently got to endgame and started running Guardian raids together, and he quickly revealed that MMOs were not his thing. After a few runs, he noticed that he had a pattern of never getting MVP. I started dreading the MVP screen, as every reveal would send him into a tailspin of excuses. His favorite excuse was blaming his class, claiming it was some sort of support class disguised as a DPS, refusing to believe that it could have anything to do about his play. I asked him what build he was running, and he explained that he was a smart guy and he didn't need anyone else's help. Man, this is like the YouTube comments imploded into a Reddit thread. I decided I'd try and compose. I decided I'd try and give him some suggestions and decided to open up his character profile. I really wish I hadn't. I am married to a Grudge 1 Andy. While contemplating how to end this relationship that clearly has no future, I've continued grinding away on Lost Ark for weeks in an attempt to try and forget about my real life problems. Unfortunately, as a support player, I can't clear my own content, so I've been at the mercy of the average DPS players in my groups. I've spent hours chasing around, desperately trying to keep them alive, hoping that eventually they would kill the boss. Players who refuse to spend gold on flares, players who run away from stagger checks, players who blatantly ignore mechanics, and probably, like my sad excuse of a husband, refuse to do any research on the game that they're playing. It's a shame the people that dwell on the Lost Ark forums will never get to hear this. This all changed when I finally ran into one particular Blade player. This guy actually threw a flare and actually did decent DPS. He dodged Yoho's tornadoes and even threw a grenade at a stagger chick. After playing with so many bad players, I complimented him since he was the least mediocre. He asked me to queue again, so we grouped up. and he played better. I quickly noticed that his performance was directly related to how over the top I was in my compliments. It seemed like this was the only thing that gave his life meaning, with minimal compliments I threw at him here and there. I was desperate to clear the content, so I continued. Oh man, his Deathblade's gonna lose his girl when that patch goes live. Eventually, eventually he asked for my phone number, and I figured, what's the harm? All he wanted to do was talk about his slightly above average DPS, but stroking his ego made my daily grind easier, so I acted impressed. I guess this had just become part of my role as a support player in this day and age. This is when I found a solution to my problem. I started spending all the time I could with this blade, virtually flating his EP over and over again, blatantly whispering in front of my husband, texting him in front of my husband, everything I could think of to try and get myself caught, giving me an excuse to actually cut things off with my husband, who can't be bothered to properly build his character, but to no avail. I started leaving my phone unlocked everywhere, and I believe the other night he actually went through it. As dumb as he was dumb enough to leave the conversation open with the blade, he's gotten awkward around me, and he keeps pretending that he didn't see it. I'm not sure what to do, but hopefully soon he'll stop being such a beta male and actually confront me about it. Part 4. Relationship. Part 4. Part 4. Relationship advice. My wife 24F left me 32M for a death blade. Hey guys, some background information. My wife and I started playing Lost Ark as soon as it came out, and we're waiting for its release for months ever since we saw it, the Vault and Raid on a Korean stream. She was going to play Bard because she really likes the aesthetic of the class and usually plays a support role in games. I, on the other hand, would be playing what I thought would be a top damage class, War Dancer. Boy, I was wrong. War Dancer is closer to a support class than DPS at the moment. Night after night, me and my wife would queue for Guardian raids, and I would never, ever get MVP. I can't do it anymore. It would soon be. I can't do the 32M voice anymore, man. It would always be carried by some other DPS in the party. Then my entire life changed. We queued up for Night Fox Yoho, and it was me, my wife, a gunslinger, and a Deathblade. It was the worst day of my life. The blade completely humiliated me, one surge after another. 30 million DPS every time. He got MVP with over 60% of the damage contribution. As soon as I saw the MVP screen, I let out an audible sigh. I noticed my wife was whispering the blade all of a sudden, and I didn't think much of it. Little did, little did I know my wife had been whispering and running content with this Deathblade for weeks behind my back. I had checked her phone to see what time it was when I woke up last night. Bro, where's your phone at? Hmm? Hmm? And to my surprise, she had a text from a name I didn't recognize. I went through the text messages and she was talking about how she was with some lame war dancer support for a husband and found him, the blade, much more attractive as a potential mate. I was in complete disbelief. I still don't know what to do. She doesn't know I've seen the text. What should I do? Do I re-roll Deathblade and hopefully win her back in a duel versus the other Deathblade? Do I find another hot e-girl bard and cheat? Any advice would be highly appreciated. Broke plus playing martial artist, plus she said nice when I said I play war dancer. Plus I saw her in party with 3 lance masters. And that's how you knew. And that's the reality. With the blade nerf, it's just going to be 3 lancers, 1 bard. But now for part 4, and this is probably the saddest part of the whole video. I, 46 bot farmer, got fired because of 3 idiots on Yoho. I'm just trying to make a living by progressing my first line of bots, but I feel like I'm losing money trying to progress my main bot, Fuzzchagugwug. It all started when reached the eye level requirement for Night Fox Yoho. Thanks to the gold I earned through my fishing bot network, my beautiful Mayhem Berserker Fuzzchagugwug is up and running, ready to get carried on Night Fox Yoho when I get mashed with a bunch of idiots who can't carry properly. A bard who only heals and shields a war dancer who is probably less useful than my leeching bot, and a Deathblade who seems to be using the same damage, but is more focused on trying to chase around the stupid bard than focusing the boss. I have mouths to feed, and if my American employer doesn't feel like I'm progressing fast enough, I can be fired. What is worse is the bard who is so focused on that war dancer won't heal me at all. I lose so much gold on potions during this fight, I showed up on the side of the MVP screen as a healer. After having lost much time and gold, my main alt can forget about this nightmare. I was nearly fired for this one Guardian raid, and I hope to never see these idiots again. But then it came time for my second and third boss, Oiswick Jeff and Signwick Coke, to attempt to be carried on Yoho. And I met the same three idiots. These runs, the bard stuck on the Deathblade. Can't blame her, really, instead of the brain dead war dancer. But she still doesn't heal my berserkers. Hey, man, it's not far from the truth, man. He's probably not even really botting. It's really just more of a that we don't even have brains. But it's okay. I watch in horror as I lose gold and money when my programs detect low HP thresholds and chug HP pots as if they were nothing. I begged my employer, but he said I wasn't efficient enough and fired me on the spot. Well, at least the whole situation got one guy banned for botting. What's really crazy about these 4 posts is they're all done by different Reddit accounts, right? And they all managed to make the greatest shit post of all time for Lost Ark combined into one thing. And I felt like this, as a community effort, needed to be recognized by everybody because it's just so good, above and beyond what anybody should expect, really, Reddit to be able to do altogether. So thank you guys for the wonderful read, and I hope you guys enjoyed the origin story of how to get a pocket support. Looks like I get to keep my pocket bard for another day.